Welcome back to the Clemson Insider. I'm Will Vandervoort as we come to you live from Amelia Island. I guess not live. We're kind of taping this. But anyway, we come to you from Amelia Island here all week as we continue to give you updates from all the Clemson coaches and the news coming out of the spring meetings here. And standing here to my left is Clemson men's basketball coach Brad Brownell. Coach, thanks for joining us and talking to us. You're always so gracious with your time, and we do appreciate that because I know you're trying to do stuff and also make the wife happy and all that stuff that comes along with it. So, that's the good thing about these trips, right? You get to bring the spouse and you get to have a good time with them, right?
Yeah, it's really a nice trip. Certainly there's a lot of work that gets done with the ACC meetings, but it's also nice to, have a lot of the coaches bring their wives, get to spend some quality time with different people, get to meet the wives of some of the other coaches that you coach against, both football and basketball. Get to spend some good time with a lot of different people, meet different people in the office, and certainly do it in a great setting.
Now, you've had some new additions as far as the players and stuff. Talk to me about some of those guys and the guys that are on campus now, I believe, and, that can help the team next year.
Well, Curran Scott is really our most recent addition, transfer from Tulsa. Has played, high-level basketball the last couple of years, especially in the AAC. A guy who really shoots the ball well, very competitive young man, a guy who we think will bring some experience to our backcourt, and excited to have another older player. We really are a young team. We don't have any seniors, and so he'll be kind of our first senior this year as a grad transfer.
As you get ready for this year, it's a little different because you're getting to actually practice now. Explain the international rules, and as you get ready for the university games, going overseas to Italy again, the difference, how much time you get to practice as opposed to last time when you went to Italy just to tour the country and do that.
Yeah, it's really a tremendous opportunity for us. The World University Games, we get to do a lot more practice. We certainly don't have all our freshmen on campus, and we don't have all our transfers on campus yet either. But we do have our returners. I think Curran's made it back. So we've got a few guys there, and really there aren't very many restrictions. We can pretty much practice until we leave. And so we're going to try to go, 4 to 5 days a week. It probably won't be quite as difficult or demanding as it would be if we were starting basketball season. But we're going to work our way into it the next couple of weeks. We're going to do a lot of skill work. We're going to work on some offensive stuff. And then as we kind of progress, we'll begin to add more things, work on some defensive schemes and things that we need to do to improve our team. I think it's a unique opportunity. Most times when you take a team overseas, you only get 10 days of practice. And so certainly we're going to get much more than that. That's going to be one of the big benefits for this team.
Is it helpful when you have a young team like you're going to have this year, and you got new guys coming in to have this time to practice? And I know that's maybe sounds like a stupid question because it's probably helpful anytime. But for you this year, probably the best time ever to go over to Italy and have this.
I think it is in a lot of ways, just to have this much quality time with your guys in preparation for this kind of trip. We're going to really use it as almost like a mini season. We'll probably get to play about 6 or 7 games overseas, and hopefully after we've come back we can make some adjustments and find some things that we like, some things that are a little bit different. The FIBA rules will certainly be a little bit different, so that'll be a little bit challenging for us. It's really a difficult year for us to do this from the standpoint of we don't have a lot of experienced players back, and so we're going to have to, we're certainly going to play tremendous competition over there and maybe not be quite as experienced as we'd like to be. But having said that, in terms of the flip side, having preparation for next season, Clemson season, I think it's going to be outstanding to let our freshmen and some of the guys that didn't play quite as much, the Hunter Tysons, the John Newmans, the Trey Jemisons, to let those guys get a lot of game experience. I think that'll be really beneficial for next year.
Need to ask you this just because a lot of stuff has happened since last time we talked. The comments that came out. What can you tell me about what all went down with Steve and Coach Smith and all that's transpired after that? First of all, we'll just start. Were you kind of surprised by the comments initially that came out from the wiretap?
Yeah, I was, and obviously I'm not going to get into too much detail on things, but certainly was very surprised, by what was on there in regards to Steve, and really disappointed with a couple of the decisions he made to put himself in that position. Having said that, I got a lot of respect for Steve and fondness for he and his family, and hate that it came to the point where we needed to move in a different direction, and certainly wish him all the best in the future and wish him well moving forward. He's a good man, and made a mistake, but he'll learn from it.
Dabo said that you reached out to him almost immediately after the news came out about that. You don't have to tell me the details of the conversation, but how did that go, and how did Coach Sweeney take it when you gave him a call?
Well, Coach Sweeney and I are, very good friends, and obviously the last thing that I want to do is in any way to, make his job harder or his staff's job harder. Or, I was certainly, surprised by the comments, and I just wanted to make sure that I called and apologized, and I think Dabo understands that and understands my position, and was as shocked as well, and so. We're moving forward. Dabo is, again, a terrific friend and somebody that I respect wholeheartedly. The job that he and his staff have done at Clemson is remarkable, and the last thing we want to do is in any way try to taint what they've accomplished and what they have moving forward, because it's certainly, an inspiring program.
I know D-Rad said that he'd be talking with you and they would sort of be doing an in-house investigation. Are they through with that? Is everything done now? Is that finalized? Or what?
Yeah, I don't know where that is all the way. We have had some conversations about it, and certainly part of that has been worked through. But I don't know where it is really any more than that.
You're here for the ACC meetings. What are some topics you guys just got done? I mean, you're fresh out of the room. What did you guys talk about, and things you want to address with the athletic directors and the commissioner going forward here?
Well, I think, one point of concern from several of the coaches in our league a little bit is we've got it's becoming more challenging to make the NCAA tournament, and there seems like there's a lot of power, if you will, or notoriety given to mid-majors that are doing well, and that's fine. But I think our league has really got to continue to push forward and try to do things to help certain teams in our league to help, get more than 7 bids. We certainly have, 3, 4, 5 kind of basketball power schools, blue bloods, if you will, in our league that, have certain advantages that probably are very similar to our football program. But then there's a lot of the rest of us, 10 or 11 schools maybe, that are really fighting for almost 1 or 2 extra bids. And we got to make sure in one way that as a league that we're doing everything we can to maybe help those teams. And I think that was one thing that came out from some of the coaches that's more just basketball oriented about situations. Obviously, the new ACC network, I think we're all extremely excited about what that's going to do, the kind of the messaging that's going to give, the branding that's going to give to allow us to promote our programs and our student athletes and our universities. And so I think we're all incredibly excited about that, understand that there's going to be some growing pains, and that we as coaches are going to have to do some things to try to make it better, whether it's giving more access in certain situations or allowing technology to become a bigger part of broadcasts. And so a lot of talk was centered around that. And then the other big thing in college basketball that we spent a little time talking about is just the changes to the recruiting calendar, and everything with the Rice Commission, and now that we have some June recruiting weekends and a change to the July period, and trying to get high school coaches a little bit more involved, and now the basketball academies are playing a bigger role than maybe some of the Nike and Adidas and Under Armour shoe circuit teams a little bit, and the AAU programs and AAU events that we used to go to so much. We'll still do a little bit of that, but not quite as much. And so just a little discussion was given to what that could look like moving forward. And I think some patience is going to have to be a part of it. I think it's really changed the culture of recruiting, and we don't really know what it's going to look like. And so it's going to create some unique challenges for all of us that we're going to have to work through. And then the last thing, probably in terms of a bigger piece, was just a little bit with the transfer portal and everything that's going on with that, and how that's really changing recruiting as well. And what that's allowing student athletes to do in terms of sometimes maybe not sticking with things and just deciding to immediately go into a transfer situation, and what are the ramifications for that? What is that like for roster management? there's certainly there's a lot going on in our business that adjustments need to be made in terms of how you want to run your program.
Yeah, I would imagine a lot of that with the transfer portal, especially for basketball, it's happened a lot mid-season, where you don't see it as much in football. It's more like after season. But for you guys, there's a lot of it in season, and these other schools can contact your players and talk to them anytime they want. That's got to be kind of frustrating because, like you said, you're trying to manage your roster, and it's like free agency during the course of the season.
Yeah, a little bit. And one of the coaches said they knew there was over 900 kids in the transfer portal. That's you're looking at it's really almost 3 per school. And that's a big percentage if 3 players are leaving. And I've said this the last couple of years. You can almost feel it, that kids aren't staying all the time and waiting to pay their dues a little bit. There's almost some competition on your rosters, and the kids that start to play the 25 minutes, 28 minutes, they're the ones that stay, and the guys that get 8, 10, 12 minutes. If they become an upperclassman, and now even sometimes if they're going to be a sophomore and they see that, they just as soon go elsewhere. And so it makes it much more difficult to manage your roster and know who's in, who's out. Excuse me. Combine that a little bit with the NBA draft situation, where kids can now hire agents, go into the combine setting, and then still either come back or leave. And by the agents having a little bit more access earlier, I think a lot of coaches in basketball are beginning to feel like kids are going to make the decision to leave more regularly than stay. Mm-hmm. And so how does that affect things moving forward as well? So there's a lot going on in terms of roster management challenges with basketball for sure.
And just last question, and you can wrap these up both ways, I guess. You got 2 positions on your staff you got to fill. You're trying to play you got to get ready for the international games here. First of all, where are you in the process of those 2, and how fast do you think you'll be able to get somebody in, and how does that affect as you prepare for playing in the university games?
Well, the director of recruiting job is one that we got posted a little bit earlier, obviously with the loss of Lucas McKay, someone that was fantastic for me and had been with me almost 15 years and been terrific in his time here at Clemson. Moving from operations to director of recruiting the last year has been something that I thought was really good for him and beneficial, and happy that he got a full-time job. We're starting to make some headway there. Going to begin to have some guys on campus, pretty soon, maybe as early as the end of the week or beginning of next week. And then the full-time job, I'm just kind of really sifting through things. There's certainly been a lot of interest. It's a job that came open quickly, unanticipated, and so I just want to make sure that I go about doing my due diligence and talk to all the people I need to talk to get it to a manageable situation and try to make a great decision for our program.
Coach, thanks so much for talking to me today. Taking some time out of your busy day. That's all we got here from Amelia Island. Stay tuned to the Clemson Insider for more coverage from the ACC spring meetings.